Everybody, it's Andrew Brown from the AWS Cloud Project Bootcamp as we continue on with our implementation of ECS. So the goal here is to, get the front end working and also to get custom domains and the SSL certificate and the rest of the stuff to hook up. So let's proceed to that. And just before I do, I'm going to go fix my lights. So I'll be back in 1 second. There we go, I'm back. And so let's pick up where we last left off. And so what I was trying to do was get the front end service running. However, when I was doing that, we were getting unhealthy instances. And so since I haven't ran them recently, I'm not going to have that information available. And I mean, it'd be a different story for you. And then my environment, apparently I did not finish that off. So I'll have to open up my environment. I try not to have to restart my environment because it is kind of a pain to do so, but we'll open it up again here, commit it, and then relaunch it so I'm in a fresh state. So I'll do that. I'll be back here in a second. All right, I have my environment back here. And so what we need to do is go run that service. So it should be as simple as going back to our week 6 journal here. I'm going to go down to where we have that create service here. And I do remember this not being exactly right because this is under, well, I guess we'll run it and see what happens. Maybe this is fine. But we'll go ahead and attempt to execute that, see if we get any errors. Unable to load parameter, AWS JSON service, front end, React, JS, JSON, no such file directory. We had this before, so I just have to carefully look at what we need to do here. And so if we go into JSON, oh, yeah, I just need a CD backup directory, so that's fine. There we go. So we'll just run that there. And so that is going to go ahead and provision that container. And I do expect there to be a failure, and I'm totally fine with that. Now that I'm remembering, it's the fact that we want to launch it without the load balancer, because if we launch it without the load balancer, it should be running, and then we can get into the instance and actually inspect it. So what I'm going to do is, while that's launching, I know it's going to fail anyway, so actually I'm just going to go ahead and shut that down. I'm going to just say delete the service. Because what we need to do is we need to launch it while it's attached or deattached to the load balancer. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So what we'll do is just go into the front end, and I'm just going to open up the README here for the time being. I'm just going to cut this part out so that I can debug this in isolate. And that should not resolve our issue, but allow us the time to go in and debug it. So I'll go here and we will hit up. Actually, we'll wait a second to see if the old one is gone. It is, so it should be in good shape. It is draining one, so we might need to wait for that to finish draining. So I'm going to wait for that draining to finish. I'll be back here in a second, okay? All right, so that draining is over, so we can go ahead and launch this again. And this time it's going to launch without a load balancer. So we'll let that go ahead and do that. And once that is launched, I don't expect it to fail, but if it does, I'll come back here and show you that. But once this is in a running state, not whether it's healthy or not, because we can't see that, we'll go in and we'll go and investigate, okay? All right, let's see what we have here. So it looks like it's in an active state. Didn't fail. We'll go to our logs. We'll see what we have. This stuff doesn't really tell me a whole lot because, you know, it's Nginx, so I'm not sure what I'm looking at here. No issues over here. So let's go take a look at this actual container. So what we can do is go and into the tasks here. And this is the unknown one, so that must be the other one that we want to get into. And so we do have in here our script. So we have bin ECS connect to service. So we'll paste in our task ID, which it's giving us the entire ARN, which I don't want. So I'll just wipe that out there. And then this is going to be front end React.js. Okay, we'll see if it connects. And we're waiting for that session to connect. I'm not sure why it's not connecting. That's interesting. failed to start bin bash no such file directory. So maybe that doesn't ship with bin or bash, and so that gives us no way or no method for debugging that. And that's a bit frustrating because if I can't get in there, how am I going to debug it? But I have done this before and I had no issues, so I'm not exactly sure what is wrong there. And we did copy our Docker file one-to-one for my other example, so I can't imagine that that is the issue. The only thing that I'm thinking of is that we specify .prod for this file, which I'm pretty sure that we do. So let's go take a look at our build. So when we do this, yeah, we specify the Docker file.prod. So it should be using this one, right? And so we shouldn't really have an issue here. So I'm not 100% sure what we can do to debug this. So give me a second to figure it out, okay? All right, so some of the instructions here are saying like what you can do is do Docker inspect and see what CMDs you get out here. I mean, like, I don't see why we wouldn't know what it is, but what I'm going to do here is take a suggestion and maybe see if that would help us resolve our issue. So, or at least debug it a bit further. So what I'm going to do is, well, I do need to build the image. So I'm going to build it locally again. I'm not going to push it, but what I'll do is I'll go ahead and build it again locally. And then we'll run it locally, and then we'll take a look and see what that inspect gives us. So here I'm just in the wrong directory, so we'll go into front-end React. I'll hit up again, see if it'll take the whole thing. It does. And so this is going to build it out, and so I'll see you back here when it's done building, okay? All right, so we built that, and so what I'm going to do is go ahead and run it and see if I can get any kind of debugging there. So we do have our run here, which I can run locally, because we do have to run it in order for us to inspect it, I believe. So it is running, and I mean, serving stuff up, so that looks pretty good. Let's go take a look and see if we can use this Docker inspect. So the solution is to identify the terminal shell that is available to the container. So I imagine we have to run this on a running Docker container. So I'll just type in Docker PS to see the Dockers that are running, and we'll copy the container ID, and we'll say Docker inspect this, and we'll get some information back. So clearly we're getting some information. It says we are looking for the CMD. And so here we have nginx-g daemon off. Now I know we don't need the -g and we don't need daemon off. G's don't give us optional flags. And we don't need to run it as a daemon. So, I mean, that's not really our problem per se, but, well, actually it's interesting because I don't even see the flag in here. Where is it? So Docker file, okay. What I remember doing is I actually remember specifying the CMD, so I'm actually a bit confused. So what I'm going to do is go take a look at my code here, and we're going to go into week 6 Fargate here, and I just want to take a look at this file here, because I could have swore at the bottom I had nginx there, but I guess by default it just does that where it doesn't run in a daemon. So that is interesting. But again, why don't I have bash available? I don't understand. So if I hit this error when running the command, the decision was to identify the kind of terminal or shell that is available on the container. So in the output I saw this. This tells me that bin sh command's available, and I was able to connect with Docker, etc. See, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I'll look up a bit more, okay? A little bit of research here. So, I mean, we are using Alpine, and so it says by default, bash is not included with BusyBox and Alpine Linux. So then the question is, okay, well then how do I shell into an Alpine container? Maybe you're not supposed to, or you have to install it. So what I'm going to do is go down below here and say, how do I shell into an Alpine container? Because if it's not that, maybe it's something else. You might need to use sh instead. Also, if the container is not running, you can do that. So it's suggesting that bash is not installed. But we are doing bin sh, aren't we? So let's go take a look here. And bash and sh aren't actually the same thing, which I believe I cover that in my programming course, which is yet to be released at the time of this video. But let's go take a look here at some of our options. So actually, you know what? The container is right here, and we can try to shell into it. I mean, what would happen if we go here and we right click and we say attach shell? Because it probably shows the command it runs. And here it's running sh. So that's all it actually does. So maybe what we can do here is then go into our backend. Of course, this isn't all for the backend, but we're storing all the bins in here anyway. And if we go into ECS, we have connect to service. And the issue here is that we don't always have bin bash. Sometimes I guess it'd be bin sh. So what I could do here is maybe change this to be hard-coded. So we'll say connect to backend Flask. And then I'll make another one here that says connect to front-end React.js. Okay, and then we can just make this more specific to those implementations. Okay, and so for this one here, it's always going to be, what do you call it, backend Flask. So I'm just going to copy that, and then we can just assign the container name as such like this. And then we can just take this one out. Okay. And now we don't have to specify that part of it. Makes our lives a little bit easier. I'm going to go copy that. Go back down to this one down below here. And I'm just going to paste it in. And we'll just say backend to front end React.js. We'll go down here. I'm going to change this to front end React.js. And so instead of bin bash, we can just do bin sh. If it's not bin sh, we'll just do sh. And let's take a look if that service is still running over here. And it is, and it's unknown, which is totally fine. And so what I'm going to do is just go and exit out of this here. And I'll just hit space there. I'll just hit Control C there. And so what I'm going to do is hit up. Or I guess I should chmod the new file that we just made, but they probably are both executable, so I don't think I have to do that, but or maybe I do because actually one is a new file, right? So we'll just cd into backend Flask here. We'll say bin ECS connect to backend Flask. I'm going to chmod that u plus x. And we'll do the same for front end React.js. And so now I'm just going to try to connect this way. Okay. Oh, we have to supply a target ID. That totally makes sense. So if we go back to here, we can go ahead and grab that task ARN. I actually just want the ID, so I can grab that part out. We'll hit up and we'll paste that in there. And so hopefully it'll connect now. And it did. So now we are in here. And so this is Alpine. It's a little bit different from other ones. And so I'm not 100% sure what we need to do to debug this. I don't think we have curl installed or wget, do we? Curl? Oh, we do have curl. So from like the other one, I didn't think we had curl, so I figured we couldn't use it. So probably what I can do is type in curl localhost and do 3000 and see if it returns anything. And it actually does return data. You need to enable JavaScript to run this app. That sounds like our app. I'm not sure if it says CRUD anywhere here. Yes, it does. So that's actually kind of interesting because we can use that as the means to test our application for our container. And I thought we didn't have curl installed or something like that. So I guess we should write a curl. So we'll just say like write a health check that uses curl to localhost 3000 for a task definition for ECS Fargate. And let's see if it'll write that for us. Because what I'm looking for is, yeah, that exit one. And so I know this is valid because I've seen this before. I just don't want to go look for it. And so what we can do is now go over to our task definition and go into the front end part here. And let me just see where the back end one puts it. Probably the same level as everything else. No, it's at the container level, so that's good. And so we'll just go here and go up and paste. So at least we know locally it's running correctly, right? There's no question about it there. Well, we know in production that it returns this, but we don't have it doing that, this check here. So I just want to update. Okay, so we'll go ahead and commit that. So we might as well go ahead and update our task definition so we don't forget. So we'll go look for register. And we have this one, and I probably have a spelling mistake like definitions in there, which is fine. I'm going to leave that one open. I don't feel like closing that, so I'm just going to hit enter. It's going to complain saying like, hey, I don't know what that is because you spelled definitions wrong. So I'll go here. And again, this is just because I'm being lazy. At some point, I'll fix the spelling here, and then I'll have less problems. But till then, I'm going to manually do it. So next time when we launch it, it should have a health check. You know, why isn't Nginx working? I don't know. Maybe the next thing would be to see if actually Nginx is running. So that would be the next thing. But it must be because if localhost is returning that, Nginx must be running. Otherwise, how would it work? Another thing we could look at is maybe, well, and it's returning on 3000 as well. So definitely it should be returning something. We could open up port 3000 on our load balancer and take, or not load balancer, before our service, and see if that IP address actually allows us to see something. So we will go back over to, we'll go over to EC2 here. Just things for debugging and testing, right? You got to figure out why, or rule out cases as to where the issue is, because maybe it's on the load balance or the target group or the health check for that, eh? And actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it probably is, because I bet what it's doing here is our health check is checking on port 80 and not 3000. I could be wrong, but let's just double check here, because you have to set 3000. Why would the port be different for the health check? I don't think it can be, right? Health check protocol is that. Because HTTP is port 80. So would that be the problem? The port of the load balancer uses when performing the health check on the targets. The default is the port on which the target receives traffic from the load balancer. How about we override it and we put it to 3000? That kind of sounds like that might be the issue. Just a thought. So what I'm going to do is, I don't know, I have quite a bit of confidence in that actually to think that that might be the problem. So, I mean, I was going to check the security group, but I have a feeling that if we open it up, it probably would work. If it still doesn't, we can go back and do that. But I want to check out my theory here, which is that that was the issue there. So what we need to do is to launch the service again. So what I'm going to do is go back to, oh, did I commit it into this part here? I probably did, didn't I? I don't like doing that. Again, I don't usually work in VS Code, so I usually do better stuff when I have pull requests to double check things, but that's embarrassing for me to make that mistake. Anyway, what we'll do is we'll go back into our JSON file here into our front end service. I think it was here. Yeah. And we'll just go and paste this back in where it belongs. And what I'm going to do is then create that service again. Okay, and then we'll take this one here. Hit enter. So it says create service is not idempotent. It just means that it already exists. And so we'll have to tear down the other one first, right? So we'll go here and we'll tear this one down. Actually, we'll just go ahead and completely do that. Okay, and we will tear that down, and I'll be back here when it finishes draining. Just to speed it along, I'm just going to stop it here as well, and we'll wait till the draining is done, okay? All right, so that's done draining, and I'm not 100% sure if the thing that I implemented actually is going to work. And the reason I say that, and this is going to run here in a second, is that we have that health check on the backend Flask, and we don't have to override the port on it. So I don't know if my solution actually makes sense. But we'll let this start up and see what happens. While we're waiting here, I'm going to go over and check out the other target group. So in the backend Flask here, there is a health check. And if we go to this one, like it's just checking here. It's not going here and we're overriding the port. So I just want to read this carefully. The port the load balancer uses when performing the health check on the targets. The default is the port on which each target receives traffic from the load balancer, but you can specify a different port. I mean, when you receive traffic, it's on port 80. And so we actually need it to be on port 3000, but it's supposed to forward that. Let's take a look at our listeners here. I don't know why that's throwing me off so much. We have our listeners here, and then 4567, 3000. So, I mean, there's nothing different here, so I don't understand why that would fix our issue. I'm going to go over here and we're going to take a look here and see if our targets become healthy or not, or even get registered. So it's initializing. We'll try to move quickly here because once it goes unhealthy, then we're going to miss that window. It's kind of annoying when we miss that information. And so I'm going to go to the front end React, and it says healthy. So it just says 0. I'm not sure why it just says 0, but I wonder if we can check the, oh, it says it's unhealthy. Request timed out. Request timed out. Interesting. But it says this one's healthy. So our internal one passed, but this one says request timed out. So now I'm thinking, okay, is it the security group? Like it can't reach it? So what we'll do is take a look at the security group for this instance. So we're just trying to find it here. We are at the service level right now. It's probably at the task level here. Networking. Subnet, security. Where the heck's the security group? Yeah, I can see that it failed. I don't know why it's so hard to find the security group on this. Load balancer. Task definition. Oh, it's probably networking tab. Security group right here. So I'll open this up here. Let's just make sure that we are using the correct one. And this is SRV for service. And it has an inbound rule only at 4567. So this is our problem. It wasn't the fact that we were overriding that thing. That wasn't necessary. And we'll do 3000 here, and then we'll allow it for the load balancer. And so that was our problem. So this one here is just app. And then this one here is back end, front end. It'll be front end. These are pretty limited in terms of what we can type here, so I'm just trying to type something that is going to be useful to me. We'll update that, and that was probably our problem the entire time. Did we need to change the port to 3000 on that target group? Probably not. It probably knows to change it. So I'm going to go back there, and since we don't need to override it, I don't think we do, I'm just going to change that back to normal. And so what we should expect to see is that start up and resolve that issue there. If we go back to our cluster, it should just try to spin up another one. It looks like it has. Okay, and it says that it's healthy. We'll go back to our targets over here. We'll check over here, and it's just draining. And now we see that there's a healthy one. So we've now properly established that there. And so if this is healthy, then that means we should be able to go to our load balancer and try out that this here and see if it works. So I'll go here and do a refresh here. Well, that's not what I wanted. I typed in the yarn and I really actually wanted the DNS. So we'll go back up here, try this. And this is not going to resolve to anything. So we'll type in 3000. Whoops, it did not wait for me. 3000. And we get the website. Not only that, it's loading data. So if we go here and inspect it, and we go to the network tab, we are serving up this. And so you can see this is where the address is, right? So we passed it along. And on our origins, we have allowed that origin. And so we can go to the our backend and update our aliases to match on this on port 3000 or 4567. And I guess that would satisfy it. But I think really what I want to do is start to set up custom domains. So with that, we'll also want to have our, what do you call it? The SSL, because that's the only way we're going to have it. So, you know, like at this point, like you could work with the app, but without SSL, right? Which we don't have here. That's the only way we're going to get is with a custom domain. So I think that is our next step here. So let's go ahead and do that. So the domain that I have is actually not managed in this account because I think I bought it in another account. But I'm going to go take a look at Route 53 and see what we have here. I might have something in this account, but what it would be, I don't know. So we'll go here, and I'm going to go check for my hosted zones. And so I have nothing in here. So I'm just trying to think, how am I going to do this? Because I have it in another account. Like if you have it in here, it's very simple. You register it and you add the hosted zone, right? So that is not so much an issue for you. But I could do it and do like app.exampro. or app.crutter.com and do it that way. But I'm just trying to decide how I'm going to do that. So just give me a second, okay? All right, so I'm not exactly sure how to do this. I know it can be done, but I mean, it's going to be a very similar process for you with the exception that you just want to have your main domain on here. So I have Crutter somewhere else, and so I'm just going to call this app.crutter.com. And this is going to be a public hosted zone. I'm going to go ahead and create that. And so now we have our these values. So I'm not exactly sure. I mean, these are the name servers, which is fine, but I'm not exactly sure how we were going to get that over there. I still got to look it up. I mean, there are name servers over here, but just give me a moment, okay? All right, so here is the domain name in my other AWS account. And actually, I have it set for Google Domains because when I originally was doing Crutter, I was doing it on GCP. And so basically, I could just update these name servers and it should be able to work that way. So what I'll do is add or edit these. And I mean, this would be similar to anywhere you'd register it. So if you're doing GoDaddy or somewhere else, there's name servers you have to enter in. And so I've created this hosted zone. And I assume that it wants these ones here. So this is for app, and I'm actually going to delete this zone because I can just do the naked domain on here. And so I'll say create a new zone. I'm going to say crutter.com. This is going to be public. And we're going to go here, and we have our name servers. I can just drop it down here, and we'll plug those in here, okay? So I'm going to go grab this one and paste it in. I'll go grab this one and paste it in. I'll go grab this one and paste it in. I'll go grab this one and paste it in. Okay, so I can go ahead and update that. And yeah, this is my old address, so it's not going to help you from talking to me. So just so you know, people always try to like message me or stuff like that, but this stuff has changed. I obviously live in Scriber now. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is, well, so this stuff has been set. And so we really do need to see when these propagate over. Now, why these haven't changed, I don't understand why. So I'm just going to refresh this and see if that took effect. I'm not sure why that didn't take effect. So I'm going to try that again. Maybe it already did register. Okay, and we'll just try that again there, okay? So we'll go here. I just don't remember what it said. I wasn't paying attention. Okay, and then we hit update. Your request to update the name server is successful. You will receive an email when it's done. Okay, so basically we have to wait. And so when that is done and those are moved over, we'll be able to do that. The question is, how long does it take to move name servers? How long does it take for name servers to update for Route 53? Within 60 seconds. That'd be really fast. We are managing DNS Route 53, which is designed to quickly propagate all DNS updates worldwide network in 60 seconds under normal conditions. Well, heck, that sounds super fast. Whether that's true or not is a different story. But, and actually here I just refreshed and you can see they actually are updated. So it was that fast to update them. And so now that means that the name server is being managed by AWS. And I provided those ones, and so I think I should be able to manage it. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that I have to do besides update the name servers. Anyway, let's just proceed forward, and I'm sure it will come to me as we are doing this. So we'll go back over to our AWS account, wherever it was in Route 53. Can't even find it anymore. That's totally fine. We'll just type in Route 53 again. We'll go to hosted zones. We have crutter.com. And so we have two records here. So I'm hoping, or I'm thinking that this is working correctly. To enable DNSSEC signing and Route 53, yeah, we might want to do this at some point. That might be important. But for the time being, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and create some records here. So what we need to do is we need to create an SSL certificate, and that's from ACM. So if we type in ACM or that, we'll get the certificate manager. Before, this used to be where it was very confusing between a private and public. Now they've made it really easy. So we go request a certificate, request a public certificate. This one is free. This one's paid, and they really made it sure that you can't buy it. I think I tried to buy one before, and I was so mad about it because it's like $500. I think that got resolved for me, but that's one of those things that was a trick back in the day. Not a problem anymore. So enter your fully qualified domain. So I'll type in crutter.com. Add another certificate here. We're going to do wildcard.crutter.com. I always recommend when you are setting up ACM to do this immediately. That way you don't have to worry about the other one. We need to do DNS validation here, so that's pretty easy. We could do email, but I don't want to do that. This key algorithm is fine. I don't know what the other twos do. I'll just leave it on the default. We'll go ahead and hit request. And so we'll refresh this, and it says pending validation. If we click into it, we can create the records in Route 53 directly, so I'll do that. I'll hit create records. And that really does streamline the process here. Now, I did hit the button, I thought. Is it making those records? I'm not 100% sure. So what I'll do is go back over to Route 53, and we'll take a look. And we'll just see if those records have been created. So if I go into our hosted zones, I'm not that great at this kind of stuff compared to Bako. Bako is really good at domain names, whereas my strength is not this. I always forget how this stuff works. So Yeah, we don't need those tabs. Let's go back to ACM. Where's ACM here? And over here. Pending validation. Let's go back to our certificate. I thought we had to add those to validate our certificate. Status pending validation. Info. Before the certificate can issue a certificate, AWS must prove that you own the control of it. You can choose to prove your ownership with either DNS validation or email validation. Validation applies only to publicly trusted certificates. So I'm a bit confused as to why this is not creating those records. Oh, now it did it. I don't know why it didn't do it before. So I think if we go back over to Route 53 here, these records should exist. I think it's this one here, right? Yeah, so it's that CNAME there. I don't see it making it for the wildcard, but maybe it doesn't need it. And so what I'll do is go back over to here, and we will see when that takes effect. It's usually pretty quick, so I'm not sure if I made a mistake. I'll be back here in a second, okay? Okay, so after waiting a short little while here, I didn't actually have to do anything. I just had to wait. So I guess I must periodically check, and it says success. So it looks like we now have our certificate there. So that is a good thing. I keep looking at the DNSSEC and think that this is something we should be doing. To enable DNSSEC, you have to have Route 53 key signing KSK. You must establish a DSEC chain of trust for your hosted zone. You can complete this step after you've enabled DNSSEC. I'm pretty sure this is really important if you want to say like you are who you say you are. Because Baker's always saying like, hey, you got to make sure you do this. Let's DNS resolvers validate the DNS response has not been tampered with when you use DNSSEC signing. Every record in Route 53 zone is signed using a public key cryptography. To set it up, you must enable it on Route 53. Create a key signing key. Is it easy though? This is what I don't know. So we probably should do this. I'll talk to Bako about it. He'll probably be like, yeah, just click this button, but I don't know if there's an additional step. I don't want to get janked. And again, I'm terrible at domains. So, you know, even for all the years that I've set these up, I just don't remember. So I'm going to leave this for now. Well, I guess it must be right here. Because, yeah, it must be just as simple as that, right? Choose customer managed key. Or create a customer managed key. Sounds like it costs money. Route 53 creates a KSK for you based on a customer managed key. It's important that you don't change permissions. So that makes it sound like this costs money. And right now I don't want to spend any money, so let's stay away from that, but I bet there's a good reason to have that. Okay, so now that we have our SSL certificate, what we can do is go back to our load balancer. Wherever that is in EC2. And we'll go down below to the load balancer, and there's some things we can change here. So we'll checkbox this on and go to our listeners, and we will go ahead and edit them. So I'll go to this one. We'll edit this listener. So there's that 4, 5, 6, 7, which is fine. What I really want to do is set some rules. They've changed the UI since I've last used it, so they're going to probably change it again. But let's see if we can figure this out. Because what I need to do is set some pathing rules on this, so that it goes on subdomains instead. So here we'll go to Actions, and we'll manage the rules here. Yeah, so what we really need, this 4, 5, 6, 7, and this other rule are not what we need. What we want is we want this to be on 3000. So we need first a rule that's going to forward 80 to 3000. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we're going to say 80, and we're going to say forward to, or redirect to, port 433. What port is HTTPS on? 443 or 433? 443. Did I get it right? No. 443, pretty close. Okay, and I'm not sure which is the better one. I'm gonna leave it permanently moved. Probably matters for SEO. Maybe found, I don't know. Someone that's smarter than me, tell me which one it's supposed to be, okay? So that's rule number one. Anything on this is gonna go, that needs to go to port 443. And then so we need a rule for that. So we'll go here and we'll have one that is HTTPS. It automatically makes it 443. And here we want to forward it somewhere. Or we could just return a fixed response. Forward, redirect to... Because the naked domain could be the front end, if we want to. I suppose we could do that. I was just trying to have it on clean domains, like one's on app and one's on API. I kind of like that. Return to fixed response. Redirect, forward. I guess we could do it this way. So this one here, 443, is going to forward to the React app. Okay? And so that is pretty simple. Oh, we need to choose ACM, so we'll choose our ACM certificate. We'll go down here below, and I don't need these other two. These can get deleted. So they confirm. Hopefully they just let us delete them. Yeah, they do. And so we'll go here, and then we will manage our rules. I do not like this UI. And then it's the old UI here, so it's just a mix here. So here, by default, it's always going to go to the front-end React, which I guess is okay. What does Twitter do? Is it naked? A naked domain? It is. I don't really like that. I kind of prefer if it was on app, but that's me. We'll go here, and we'll add another rule. This is going to be on the host header. And so the idea is that this is going to be API. And so when it goes to API, then it's going to forward to the backend. I think that's all we need. Invalid host header. What if it's crutter.com? Is that valid? We'll go ahead and save that. And so now the API goes to the backend, and then the front end goes there. So yeah, I guess that's how we're going to have it. All right, so the thing is that even if we try to do this, it's not going to actually work because we need to update our origins and rebuild our image. But let's go see what happens if we try to use these. So what I'm going to do is just go down here to my load balancer. And sometimes I notice that when you have new domains, they don't always work right away. And so sometimes it helps to open in another browser like Firefox. We'll try it here anyway. We'll say crutter.com and see if this resolves. Technically, this one has origins on everything, so it should work. But notice that it's not resolving here. So I don't trust it. I think that it does work. One way we can see if it actually is pointing to the right place is, well, actually, there's no reason that it should be pointing to the right place because we actually haven't told it to point to the load balancer. That's what we need to do. So in our Route 53, we definitely need to point that there. Otherwise, it doesn't know to go to the load balancer. So if we go to Route 53 and we go into our hosted zones, we'll go into here. We'll create a record. We'll leave that naked. This needs to go to, this will be an A record. We'll leave it, we'll go to alias. This needs to point to our load balancer. So we'll look for our application load balancer, and it is in CA Central 1. And then from here, we'll choose our only load balancer. Simple routing is all we want. We'll go ahead and create that route. Now, the thing is this is where I was saying that you should be using Route 53 because we have that special alias. You might have not noticed, but there's this option here for alias, and that allows us to directly select an AWS resource. And instead of having like a fixed value here, like an IP address, which by the way, you can't have an IP address when you're using ALB, it's a DNS record, so probably maybe CNAME for that because that looks more like what it is. The problem is when that changes, you know, like you tear down an ALB, which can happen when you're doing deployment, especially when you're doing it the old way, like with traditional virtual machines, that's not great. So that's why I wanted to use Route 53 for that particular reason. So we'll do that, and we'll choose CA Central 1, and we'll go down here, and we'll choose that. Simple stuff. There has evaluate target health, which I guess is fine. I don't think there's any additional cost for that. And so now we're routing API and the naked CRUDR domain to there. We can go over here and we can do a ping and say api.crudr.com and see what we get back. And we're getting back stuff. There's probably other things we could do like netstat. I'm not really good at this stuff. I've done it tons of times, but I always forget it. I have it written away in some document, but there's other ways that we can debug to make sure that this thing is pointing where we think it's pointing. But even a curl might be smart to do. So we'll do API crudr.com/API activities, or sorry, health check. We'll do that. We got a 302, which is found. The reason we're getting a 302 is because it's redirecting the traffic, because we didn't specify this to be HTTP. We did or HTTPS, we just HTTP. So I think there's a way to specify, oh, well, we spelled this wrong. We'll go like do that. And so we're getting back success true. So that is good. That means that it's working, just to rule out if the browser is lying to us. Because sometimes the browser just doesn't know. If that sounds funny. So if we do this, do we get a health check back? See here, it's not working. But we know it's working because we just pinged it. So I don't trust Chrome in this case. Sometimes you have to close your browser. I don't really want to do that. So I'm going to see if it works over here in Firefox. I'm just doing this off screen here. Notice over here in Firefox, it works. Okay, so it's working fine. It's just that Chrome is being silly. And this happens, you know, just because it's cached or something like that. Now, it's saying it's not secure, which I don't believe that's true because we definitely put that certificate on there. I'm going to double check that again and see if that's true. It's saying that it is secure. So yeah, there's some way to fix this. Probably close Chrome. I really don't want to because we've been working it this entire time. But one thing is that I don't want to have this API here every single time because we have api.crudr.com API. That's kind of redundant. So maybe we can forward that or mask that somehow. So I'm just trying to think what we can do to get rid of that. Yeah. Let me think about it. I was asking ChatGPT, but I'm not 100% sure that this is possible in ALB. But we'll take a look and play around with the rules. Because one thing we can do is go back to our backend application and just take out the API namespace, which probably is the simplest thing to do. But it'd be nice to know how to work with the rules a little bit better. If we had something intermediate like Nginx, we could obviously just rewrite the routes. But I'm going to see what kind of rewriting capabilities we have here, which I don't believe we have a whole lot. I mean, we have some stuff, but it might be too complicated. But let's take a look and see what we can do. So in here we have this. We'll checkbox that. We'll go to our actions and we'll we'll manage our rules here and we'll see what we can change. So here we have apicrudr.com. So we'll edit that. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to add a condition. When api.com or crudr.com, I don't think it can rewrite routes. Can ALB rewrite a route? I don't see how it would. It's saying that it can, but I don't believe it can. So in this example, ALB will route all the HTTP, HTTPS traffic to the path with this to this new target. ALB should replace that with this. It applies to the path and query string of the request. It does not modify the hostname other parameters. Okay, how? You're saying it does it, but how does it do it? Because all I have is this forward step, eh? I mean, it would be path here. And so we'd say like API. But I wanted to add it after the fact. I don't think it can do it. Just gonna remove this for a second. Add action. Return fixed response. No. Forward to. No, because these are the only options we have, really. Redirect to. No. No. So I don't think so. I think probably the easiest thing is just for us to remove that API namespace, and then we don't have to deal with that. So I think that's what I'm going to do for the application. So I'm going to go back into our backend Flask app, and I'm just going to remove that API namespace. So we'll go into Dockerfile or app.py. And it might be smart if, let's say, in the future we wanted to go back and mount it, we could set a thing to check on that. Here it's interesting because we have cores that go /API, but I guess they're not all on API, eh? Well, I'm going to remove them because I don't want the redundancy. So I'm just going to do that. Well, hold on a second, because if we remove that, the problem is that in our front end, we call all those APIs there. Oh, let me think about that. How about we just leave it in? You know, it's not pretty, but it's not breaking anything, so I don't see any reason for us to remove it. I think maybe I'm just trying to get a nice aesthetic to my paths when it really doesn't matter. But you know, someone can argue me about that. When I create my applications, I'll actually have like a global variable here that I can override as that. And I suppose that we could go do that in the JavaScript side. But at this point, I don't think I'm going to do it. Maybe we'll go back and do it and clean up for fun. But right now, I don't think it's really important. It's very superficial. But what we need to do is we need to get those endpoints working correctly. So like we need to make sure we're using cores correctly, because right now Origins is open up to everything. And our front end wouldn't work because it's pointing to the wrong thing. So what we're going to do is go rebuild that stuff. For the back end, we have to redeploy it with the correct environment variables. So that is a little bit different. So we'll go into our task definition here. And we will go to, where are we going? We are going into, I said our task definition, but actually it's when we create our service, which is over here for the back end. And we'll scroll on down. Oh, you know what? Actually, it is over here. Yeah. So here we have the front end and back end. So the front end is going to be, that's asterisk. What were they before? I can't remember if it's supposed to be HTTP or if it's just the domain. I think it's just the domain. So we do, yeah. So for the other one, I think it's that. And for this, I don't think we say HTTP. So we would just do, for the front end, it's just going to be crutter.com. And then for this, it's just going to be API-crutter.com. Now we could just pass a single, or I guess we still need both. But we could have it wildcard on the asterisk and then it would accept everything here. But we'll just be very explicit about what we want to work. So I'm just going to do it this way instead, API. And so the idea is that those two are now okay to receive stuff from. So that is fine. I wonder if we should asterisk more stuff, because we could need to serve things up. Like, let's say we wanted to serve static assets on CloudFront, which we didn't do. That might be something that might matter to us. but I'm going to leave it as such for now. So these are fine. And so we'll have to go and update our task definition. So we'll go here. I'm sure this is going to mess up because I just refuse to fix it, but let's go fix it. I feel brave today. This is week 6. So I'll go in here and we'll just scroll down till we get to register. No more being lazy. Okay, because I keep messing these up and it's just tiresome. So I'm just going to right click here and get this name here. And in the future, you're not going to have this problem. So you can be like, Andrew, why do you have this problem? Because I fixed it. And we'll just give it the proper name. Okay. And so these are the task definitions. So that is fixed there. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that. And we will run that and register our new one. And so that fixes that issue there. Now what we need to do is go to our front end and rebuild it, because that one's a little bit different. Because we don't have to push a new image for this one, but we do need to push it for this one because they are baked into it. So what we need to do is, well, save this, and we'll go down to the next case where it is build. So we will log into our ECR here. You know, if we don't want to have to keep typing that in, we could just go make a bash script for it. We'll make a new one here. New folder, ECR. The only problem is, like, if you're in another directory, you have to keep moving between them. I'm not going to bother with this. I don't care enough to do that. If you want to do it, you can, but... so we have this here, and I'm just going to find the one for our front-end application, which is here. So I'll grab this. We'll paste that in. I'm going to CD into the front end. I'm going to go back over here. And so this needs some tweaking because it's actually going to be a little bit different. I'll have to paste this somewhere. Put this here for a second because the other clipboards have not been working out too well. And so here the backend is API crutter.com. And so now I can go here and build this. And so we will wait forever for this to build. I'll be back here in a moment, okay? All right, so after waiting a little bit here, it's now built. So I'm going to go back here. We're going to go ahead and tag this. We're going to go push this image. And so that's going to push it. And so once that's pushed, now the next step is to do some fiddling around. So what we'll do is go back to ECS because we need to stop our container and start it up again. So I'll go to Crutter here, and we have the front end and the back end. So for the back end, we updated the task definition. So in order for this to deploy with the latest configurations, all we need to do is to update the service, and we're going to just check force deployment. And that way it's going to, well, I'll make sure that it uses the latest revision here. So just choose 11 for the task definition, and we'll go ahead and update, and that will replace that with the new one. It's smart enough to do that. For the front-end React JS application, the task definition always uses the latest one. So what we can do here is do something very similar. We'll do update, we'll do a force. There's no new version to do that. There's just new, the latest pulled image, and so we'll do an update. And so when those two have replaced, then we will know that we are in good shape. So I'll see you back here. I'm just going to wait a little while, but if you're not sure, you can go here and you can see that there are new ones and old ones spinning up, and we'll be back here in a moment, okay? All right, so we'll take a look here and see this is running revision 11. This one is the front-end React one. It should be running 7 still. we'll make our way over to the load balancer and just make sure that it's passing its health checks. So we'll go over to EC2 here. And I'm just going to go down here and check in the load balancers, actually be the target groups that we're actually looking at. And so this one is showing healthy. This one is showing healthy. So they're both healthy. So that is a good thing. Let's see if our browser knows where this stuff is yet. And it still doesn't know. We can go ask Firefox, I suppose. Anyway. So here in Firefox, it is returning that, so I can do API health check. Okay, let's see if crutter.com just works. And so we'll go here, type in crutter.com. And so it looks like it's almost working. If I go and inspect it, not a huge fan of using Firefox for this, but if we go here and we go to console, we can see cores, status 200. So we'll go to network here, refresh it, and NS domain bad stuff. Okay, so I guess the question is, what is actually being set as the environment variables? And so that is, I guess, my next question. I'm pretty sure that we don't do the domains with their full, because we check cores for Flask, and we're looking for some examples here. Plugins. That's kind of like the one we have here. So this is on the API, very similar to what we're doing. I think our library has a very specific name, so we can go ahead and look that up. Flask cores GitHub. I'm just trying to see an example of one, because I'm pretty sure we don't put the full origins in there. Frick, it'd be so nice if they showed us if it was a full one or not. They don't here. Why don't they? Oh boy. I don't think we need the full one in there. I think it's just whatever it's supposed to be. But if we look at the Crutter application, let's just take a look at where it's trying to call it. So if we go over here, so this is API crutter.com, API activities home. So this looks correct to me, right? If we go back here and paste this in, this returns data. So we know that this path is okay. All right. But the issue is that we have cores. And this really comes down to the origins. So let's go make sure that we set our values correctly. So I'll go back over to ECS. And we want the task definition for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and grab that. And we'll go grab that there. And I want to start up this Flask app here. So just go to backend. Not Flask app, we want to shell into it. So I'm just doing bin db ECS connect to backend Flask, and I'll put that task in there. We'll get into that there, and then we'll just type in env and see what's set. So we have our connection URL. Again, don't share that with other people. Mine's okay because I'm demonstrating, okay? And so I'm interested in the front end. So the front end URL is that. Do you see our back end here? Our back end URL is that. So those are getting set, and they should get passed along and have no issue. So, you know, if those are wildcard, I bet there's no issue and they'd work fine, right? So this is where I go, okay, well, do we just deploy it back with wildcard domains and then see if it works? And then if that works, then we'll put the HTTPS in, because maybe we're missing the protocol and that's our issue. So what I'm going to do This is not fun, but we will try it with the protocol next. So we'll go over here. And I can tell you, I waste a lot of time with cores, like tons and tons of cores. It's just a headache. And we'll look for our definitions here, our front end, back end. And so I'm just going to put in HTTPS : HTTPS : I really don't think that we have to do that. I'm almost certain that we don't have to do that. It's just wildcard. But if the wildcard's not working, we're just going to have to try some things. So we'll go here and we want to update our task definition. Be nice if I still had that there. So we'll just go register task definitions. I'm going to grab this first one here, which is backend Flask. And we'll give this another go. And hopefully the cores won't be fixed. So we'll hit enter. And it doesn't like something. What doesn't it like? It's going to tell me it doesn't exist, doesn't it? Of course it does. We got to go up a directory. So we'll hit up and we'll try this again. It will execute it. That is great. That's awesome. We're going to go over and update it. I almost think that we should have some more shell commands to streamline this because it gets kind of tiresome doing this over and over again, going in the console, updating the task, hitting update on the thing, forcing a new deploy, whatever. We'll do an update here. We will choose the latest revision. We'll force a new deployment. And we will sit back here and we will test it here in a moment. So I'll see you back here when revision 12 is deployed, okay? All right, so just waiting a while here. I imagine that it's deployed the latest one. It says revision 12, so that should be the newest one. And I guess we will just go and try that again. So if we are back over here on CRUD, we'll give this a refresh. And so now we're getting our data. So I guess we did need those protocols there. And so we do have this working. We can see if it's actually working in Chrome yet. Still not working in Chrome. So Chrome is not detecting updated DNS records. I don't know what you call this. Flushing Chrome DNS. Is that a thing? You can do that? Oh, look at that. I didn't know that was a thing. Okay, does that help? Okay, well, I know it's lying to me. Okay, well, what I'll do here is I'll just add all my code. I just don't want to be in Firefox all day here, and we'll say WIP, but clearly, oh, I updated my README. Let's go into my README here. I'm so sorry, but, oh no, the README's fine. Okay, I thought I had junk in there. So what I'm gonna do is just close out all these tabs. Okay, it's Diablo 4 beta. Excellent, it's over now, so I can't play it. And I'll open up Chrome again, and we'll give this another go here and see if it picks it up. Oh. Chrome page isn't working, but works in Firefox. New domain. I hate this. It drives me crazy. Like if Baker was awake right now, it's like almost midnight my time. He would be like, "Oh, just do this thing. I don't know where it is." In my case, I had to change my Max machine, cache the DNS records. But why not? Okay, well, I don't know what it is. This is really annoying. So that's ChatGPT. I updated the records in my domain to point to a new address. Chrome is not recognizing the changes. However, Firefox does. How do I resolve this? I don't really want to change my DNS propagation. I don't want to clear my cache. So I guess we'll just wait like dummies. That's frustrating. I just wish this would take effect. I guess we could just use Firefox. Just give me a second here, okay? All right, so anyway, let's just see if our thing is working normally. I'll just have to use Firefox for the time being. So I'm gonna log in here and I'm gonna do, it's auto-completing for my Dashlane. AndrewExamPro.co, capital T, testing 1, 2, 3, exclamation mark. We can sign in. I do not want to save. Get out of here, Dashlane. And so we are in here and can I make a CRUD? So we'll say this. I think when I was here before, my messages wasn't working. I'm not sure why. We'll go to the network tab and see as to why it might be complaining. There's nothing coming back here. So, you know, oh, you know what? Maybe because we don't have any messages. Maybe I haven't talked to anybody here. So I guess, how did we do it before? We'd say like @Baco. And be maybe like messages new here. Is that it? Maybe it's just without the @ sign. Here is saying 500 error on the short. That's what it was before, right? Here it's doing it at the @ sign. Refresh it, short. It's doing that, 500 error. What if we just pull this on the side here and check manually? So we'll do crudder.com, apicrudder.com, and then we put this here like that. The view function data short did not have a valid response. And we're not supposed to see this stuff because we're technically running in production. And so this is where we're in development, but we should be in production mode. And so we're getting this debug information. But it does make life a lot easier for sure to be able to see it here. But anyway, my point is that we've gotten to a point where our application is communicating with the back and the front end. We have a bit of cleanup we have to do, like make sure existing stuff already works, turn off these debug modes, stuff like that. But I'm going to say we are done for now. And if you can get it so that the app is talking to both ends here, that's great. And I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.